guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany Janae, and in today's video for Vlogtober, I'm going to be telling 3 messy ghost stories that has happened in my family. These were stories that was told by family members to me. So let's get into the video. So the people involved in this first story is my great-grandmother, my great-grandfather, my grandmother, and the other woman. So I will say this. It was a fact that was known in my family that my great-grandfather had an affair. He had an affair with another woman that lived down the street from him and my great-grandmother. Now, to provide a little bit of context, or to provide a little bit of information on my great-grandmother, she was a very lively woman, a very charismatic woman, a very sociable, very talkative. Keyword, talkative. Talkative woman. And so, I'm assuming she knew her husband was cheating on her and had this side chick. And so basically what happened was the side chick was like, I want you all for myself. I don't care that you're married. I don't care that you have a family. I don't care that you have kids. And at this point, grandkids. I want you for myself. And so what happened is my grandmother in 1977 stopped talking. She went mute. No one understood why she went mute. Doctors could not explain why she went mute, but that was not like her. That was not within her character because, as I stated earlier, she was a very talkative woman and she just loved life and enjoyed life, and that's just who she was. And so the one thing that made her shine and made her who she was taken away from her, right? And so it was believed that it was caused by the other woman. So, upon doctors not being able to figure out what was going on with my grandmother took it upon herself to bring my great-grandmother to a spiritual healer, a spiritual advisor, to basically find out why her mother was no longer speaking. Now, during this session with the spiritual advisor, an egg was cracked, and when the egg was cracked, apparently a snake slithered out of the egg. And it was told that this other woman had put roots on my great-grandma. Now, mind you, to add another bit of context, is I'm from the deep south. I live in the deep south. There is no other state beneath me or beneath the state that I live in. It's just the Gulf of Mexico. That's it. That's all. So if you know what time we on in this video. Some hoodoo voodoo type stuff. So she said that, or the spiritual advisor, I don't know if it was a male or a female, said, hey, she has roots put on her. Take these herbs, take this body wash and shampoo, wash her with this day and night to scrub the root work off of her. So my grandmother did just that. Every day she would bathe my grandmother in these herbs, basically giving her a spiritual bath in these herbs and in this special body wash and shampoo and conditioner to basically make her who she was again, because she just didn't talk. She was walking, she was moving, but she just did not speak. Like, she couldn't make a sound and no one knew what happened. Let me think it was a possibility that she could have been placed in a jar. I've heard that term before, where people are placed in a jar and they kind of like lose their mind. I may be totally wrong, but what I do know is that when I was a toddler, because my great-grandmother passed away in the 90s, when I was a kid, and I know she never spoke, she never talked, she barely moved. I would do little things as a kid, as a bad little kid, like pinching her, pulling her just to get her to talk, but she never talked. And so it was explained that root work was done on her, and she was like that from 1977 to the late 90s. So for over 20 years, she just did not talk. No one ever heard her voice again. So do you think it was root work? Could she have been placed in a jar? Or do you think that she suffered a nervous breakdown or has some underlying mental health condition that we just didn't know about? I didn't know, but to go 20 years without talking is a long time. And there are people in my family who definitely believe that the other woman put roots on my great grandma to take her man away from her. So story number 2 is a continuation from story number 1. Now, moving forward, we are in the 1990s. At this point, everybody, my great-grandmother, my great-grandfather, and the other woman, they're deceased. However, the other woman had children, and those children had children, her grandchildren. And so what happened is the other woman had a grandchild who came and mixed and mingled with my family and had children, and we became one big happy family, so to say. Well, I'm gonna name the other woman grandchild Cactus, because I'm looking at my candle. I'm gonna name her Cactus. And what happened is there was a lot of tension because, as I stated in story number 1, my family believed that Cactus grandmother put roots on my great grandmother. But it was also a known fact that Cactus grandma was having an affair with my great grandfather. So, needless to say, there was a lot of tension. Now, fast forward, Cactus is a part of the family. Cactus has, had children with my family member, and that's just what it is. So, moving forward, one of my family members would go to Cactus to get her hair done. Cactus does hair, or at least did hair for the most part back in the day, right? In the early 2000s, whatnot. So my family member would go get her hair done by Cactus often, and it abruptly stopped because my family member started to suffer from migraines and severe headaches for months, but could not figure out what was the cause of the headaches. She went to doctors, took medication, of course. Nothing helped, nothing worked. It wasn't until something happened in my family member's sleep, which prompted her to call my grandmother. And it was like, hey, I'm really not feeling well. The doctors can't tell me what's happening. No, nothing. I'm taking medicine, but nothing's happening. So my grandmother, being the believer that she is, said, hey, well, let's go to a spiritual advisor or spiritual healer to find out what is going on. Why are you having headaches? Let's make sure you are protected. Well, what happened during this session is my family member and my grandmother went to see the spiritual advisor. And so my family member was laying down on her back, and what comes out is like a ball or an egg-shaped object pops out of her belly button. And apparently it had eyes, it had legs, and it had the face of the person who did the root work on my family member. And apparently Cactus' face was on this little egg. And so the spiritual advisor was like, look under your bed, because this person has put something under your bed which has been causing you to have headaches for months. And apparently whatever that thing was that was under her bed, it was there. And from that, after that, she was healed, she was protected, and was fine. So that is story number 2, you guys. So story number 3 is about a family member of mine who is spiritually gifted and has been since she was a child. I believe one of the very first things that was told to me is when she was little, living at my grandmother's house, she actually seen someone dressed like in an old-time military uniform, maybe from World War I or World War II, whichever setting. But that was one of her first times ever seeing a spirit. So what happened is, fast forward to her being an adult, she moves into this new home and she has these 3 small children. 2 of them were newborns. And so in this home, there were strange things occurring. And one of the first occurrences that happened in the home is there was a ball. There was a ball that was left in the kitchen, and the ball was bouncing on its own. My family member said, "Can you please stop bouncing the ball? I have small children. I don't want this to happen," basically, right? And so the ball stops bouncing on its own. Another strange occurrence that happened while my cousin was living in this house with her 3 small children is that pots and pans would just randomly fall. It would fly out of the cabinet, like just weird, like stuff you would see in a movie that was happening. And it just totally would freak out any other person. But my family member was just so used to seeing spirits and having them trying to communicate with her. She was always just very calm, like, "Can you just please stop? I have my small children. Like, I don't want this to happen." And she'll pray, and things will calm down. Well, the biggest thing that happened in that house is while she was walking to go check on her children, she noticed one of the newborn babies levitating in the air, floating in the air on their back, which would freak any new mom out, would freak not even a new mom, but would freak anybody out. You see your child or a human being, a vulnerable human being at that, just floating in the air, just levitating off of the bed. And so that caused her to freak out totally and hired a priest, well, not necessarily hired a priest, but asked a priest or a preacher to come to her home, to bless her home, to get rid of any spirits or negative energy, and just so that she can pour in her positive energy and love and happiness and just cleanse it from whatever it was, from whoever the previous owners were, whatever they left in there, clean it out so that I can pour or she can pour in her good energy. And one other thing that happened in that house that was told to me is that while she was sleep one day, there was a big dip in the bed. And so what happened was one of the spirits apparently sat in the bed, and she just calmly told the spirit, "Get out of the bed, not tonight." And that's how she talks to them. So yeah, that's it for story number 3 as far as some of the spooky stories that was told to me from other family members. So you guys, that is it with the spooky story times that were told to me from other family members. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Do I believe all of this happened? I don't know. I wasn't there, but I can say that, a lot of these people are still here to tell their story if they want to if they ever wanted to like validate these story times that I just told. So anyways, you guys, until next time, I will see you later.